I'm Dr. Erin Elliott.
And I'm Jason Tierney.
I'm a dentist.
And I'm a dilettante. And we're going to talk about sleep matters because
sleep matters.
Scott Craig, you, my friend, are one of the smartest people I've ever met in the field of dental sleep medicine. And I know that you love taking compliments. I know that you thrive on praise. So I thought I'd get that out of the way at the top of this conversation. Thank you for being here to talk about sleep matters because sleep matters.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. So,
Jason, that was one of my first comments when I saw Scott on the list. I was like, oh my gosh, my two smartest friends in the same place.
well, who's the other one?
You.
Me? Well, thank you. So let's do this, Scott, if you don't mind. Tell, since Erin and I both agree that you're one of the smartest people in dental sleep medicine, why don't you tell us a little bit about, who you are and kind of how you earned that title?
Oh, if I'm the smartest person in dental sleep medicine, we've got bigger issues. But I'll certainly share my experience, strength, and hope.
Sure. Let's hear it.
We got into dental sleep medicine at the behest of a local sleep physician who was an ENT sleep medicine practitioner, and realized that patients struggled with the use of CPAP, and he wanted another tool in the tool chest. So he got my father involved, and fast forward 20
Who
years.
is a dentist?
Yes, who is a dentist, and he got him involved. My dad went down to the American Academy of Dental Sleep Medicine's national conference and kind of came back, took one look at me. He's like, "You've got sleep apnea. You've had it since you were a kid." And, he treated me with an oral appliance. It changed my life. We now have 5 locations in the Chicagoland area doing nothing but dental sleep medicine. And it's been one heck of a journey. We've definitely had a roller coaster ride, and it's been a heck of a lot of fun.
And that's why you have no time to golf. 5 offices in a
Not enough
metro
golf.
area.
Not enough boating, not enough golf.
So tell me a little bit more about what that journey has looked like. I mean, your dad said you've got sleep apnea, which isn't that how that always works? Like, you go to a course and you come back and it's like, you've got sleep apnea. It's like Oprah. You've got sleep apnea. You've got sleep apnea. You've got sleep apnea. So what, you got treated and, now you're at 5 offices. What happened in the interim?
That's a good question.
Well, before you answer that, so a lot of, that's a common story, right? The dentist goes to a course, they recognize this in some of their own patients or their own team members or whatever it might be, and they decide that this is something that oral appliance therapy is something that they want to provide in their practice. Oftentimes, though, they hit roadblocks and they just sort of give up on it, right? That didn't happen with you. You were able to parlay it into 5 practices and a thriving business. So what was different with you than, Jill and Joe dentist that attended a course, wanted to get involved and bailed?
Probably because he's not a dentist.
Well, I think that has
Sorry.
I think that has a lot to do with it. I think my dad kind of recognized early on he had a really large, general dental practice.
Mm-hmm.
And he had implemented many different things along the way, new procedures, new concepts into the general dental practice. And when he started to try to introduce sleep, I think he just, came across so many different roadblocks. he kind of quickly realized like, hey, I'm either going to get out of this because it's not working great, or I'm going to go all in. I'm going to get a team together that does nothing but dental sleep medicine and, get a great team around me. And so he decided to take dental sleep medicine out of his general dental practice and start the first standalone clinic dedicated to dental sleep medicine in Illinois. And I think that was kind of a, a, a transformational kind of decision for us, building that team that really focused on dental sleep medicine and then going from there. The gentleman that got him into dental sleep medicine, unfortunately, right when we opened, passed away. And so the doctor that took over for him was very focused on CPAP, didn't really believe in oral appliance therapy. So we started from, the ground floor and had to really build it from scratch.
Got it. And then during that process, so you decided you committed to starting this practice, this business. And then how were you able to actually though take it from being an idea um to developing it into a real business? I mean, what were those early days like? Um Looking back on them, what did you screw up and what did work so that people that are in similar situations can avoid those pitfalls and incorporate what did work.
I think what didn't we screw up?
That's
We
how you learn.
yeah, we there's a good story. This group came in to do a story on the practice from the local newspaper, and they came in and they took pictures of the office and interviewed everybody in the practice and put together a story and put that story out. And all of a sudden, we started getting just hundreds of telephone calls. So there was just this massive demand. But they had taken photos of all the office. My dad was expecting them to put out, pictures of the practice and pictures of patients and all this other stuff. And they had taken one picture of my dad with an oral appliance in his mouth. And my dad's got a beard like me. So it's just this shot of massively blown up on the front page of the newspaper of his face with the oral appliance in there, which was not super attractive. So he's mortified,
Yeah.
and really, wanted to call the newspaper. But what he didn't realize is that when we were over at the office, we got like 300 or 400 telephone calls that day. So the demand was just huge, right off the get go. There were so many patients out there that were untreated, that had tried various forms of therapy, but were still struggling or not treated or undertreated.
Mhm.
So there was just a massive, population of patients that could benefit from the treatment. I think we had that going for us right off the get-go. Um, but it was a
And
struggle.
what year was that?
That was 2005,
Okay. So 20 years ago ish.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next year you can buy a beer. You'll be old enough. The practice will be old enough to start drinking legally. All right. So one of the things, Scott, one of the ways you first really got on my radar was when you did a presentation at the AADSM several years ago. And as I've gotten to know you, I've really been impressed by your grasp of the business of dental sleep. So with your own practice, I'm not asking you to share any kind of secret sauce or anything, but what metrics specifically should somebody that's listening to this that has, a fledgling dental sleep practice, or maybe a practice that's sort of a mid-tier as far as volume of patients treated is concerned, what sort of metrics should they be really paying attention to? And what sort of metrics are maybe just vanity metrics that don't matter so much?
I think if I kind of distill down what I think the three most important things are, would be sort of the optics on the referral to consult conversion, the consult to delivery conversion, and the delivery to efficacy conversion. So I think if you have, if you want to just pull out something simple like a spreadsheet and track that, you're really tracking that the most important piece, which is the patient's pathway through your practice and your ability to convert on all those fundamental things and getting them into the practice, getting them into the dental chair, getting them, seen by the dentist, delivered therapy, and then ultimately referred back for follow-up sleep testing to verify efficacy.
Mhm.
If you do that really well, I think you'll build a thriving dental sleep medicine practice. If you
Uh,
don't, I think you won't.
So following that pipeline, starting with referrals to basically appointments or referrals to patient in the chair. That's number one.
Yeah.
Patient in the chair converted to a device. Second, and then three is efficacy. So with that first stage, what sort of when you notice or in the past when you've noticed that maybe that number was declining, what should clinicians be looking for? What or what should uh, office managers be looking for? What might cause that number to decline, and then how do you overcome? How do you address those issues?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are numerous reasons why those numbers might
Let
dip.
Let's hear them.
So if you're not tracking the phone calls coming into your practice, it may be that you're missing calls. It may be that the messaging that is being delivered to patients isn't consistent with giving the patient confidence that, you know, the therapy is going to work out, or maybe that it's going to be covered by insurance, or maybe it's covered out of network, not in network, which leads patients not to, come in and see the doctor. It could be any number of things. I think just tracking that and understanding where patients are falling out of the funnel
Yes.
is vital. And we still make mistakes. We may track something really well for a period of time that sort of, dips off, and we look at the number and say, why is the number going down in terms of the percentage of patients coming in? And all of a sudden we'll look back and go, oh yeah, well, we're missing telephone calls. We're not calling them back in a short enough period of time, and you'll see the number dip off. Or maybe
The numbers tell a story.
yeah, they tell a story, and, I think you really need to pay attention to that story. Maybe you notice, hey, you look at the patients that are falling off, maybe there's a common theme, they're all from this particular referring provider, so maybe the communication at the referring provider is the issue. Maybe they're all part of a particular type of insurance, and maybe you're out of network with that particular insurance, so it's becomes very clear that the story is, oh, that leads to higher costs. Higher costs leads to a lower conversion rate. Um, those are
Yeah,
some of
I've had to coach referring doctors. I basically said, we go over all of the pros and cons, including side effects, and we do not every time I reassure them that we tell the patient their out-of-pocket costs before moving forward every time, that you don't have to talk about money at all. Because usually it's like, well, it's gonna cause a whole bunch of TMJ pain, your teeth are gonna move, and it costs $3,000 or $4,000. Sometimes I feel like they pulled numbers out. I was like, "Well, who's gonna show up for my appointment from that?"
Yeah, it's gonna screw your jaw up, and it costs $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, if you don't mind, I'm like, we'll do all the heavy lifting. Just be reassured that we have that financial discussion every time, and that has helped.
So Scott, with some of those other issues, like for example, finding that maybe you need to shorten the amount of time from the when the referral is received to contact, you know, I I mean, how are you communicating that with your team? I mean, it's one thing to identify these issues, it's another thing then to implement them. So, I mean, do you have a team, a management team, a leadership team? I mean, what are you doing with these numbers? How much of this are you sharing? Because, whatever I'm gonna paraphrase, but, that which is measured improves, and that which is, measured and reported on improves exponentially. So
Yeah.
how do you do that?
So, I mean, structure-wise with the company, after leaving Transform a couple of years ago and hearing Max speak, we implemented EOS, the entrepreneurial operating system, into the practice. So we have kind of a leadership team. There's 6 folks that are on that team, and there are departments that each one of those folks is responsible for managing. We have a patient intake team, so with respect to, taking in the referral, there's a team of folks that are responsible for that, and they have all the optics on those numbers. And that team is incentivized based on hitting certain goals with respect to those numbers. And so we're very transparent. They have all the data in front of them to understand what's working and what's not working. They can see the number of calls coming in. They can see the number missed. They can see the amount of time that a patient is on hold before they get an agent. They can listen to the telephone calls and, you know, understand what's being said to the patient. So if there's fall off, they can kind of get a sense of why and use that as a quality assurance tool for training purposes and so forth. So it's just kind of keeping everybody, you know, on the same page and aligned with what our overall mission and vision is, which is to make, um, you know, to make an impact in our patients' lives, to improve their quality of life. And we're not doing that if we're not getting the patient in the chair to see our sleep doctor and have our sleep doctor, our sleep dentist have that conversation with the patient about the importance of being treated.
So
Dentists aren't very good at numbers and that sort of thing. We
you
just
don't
want to
say.
help patients. Have you always been a numbers guy, by the way?
I think, this was my last chance in my career, I think, like I had an opportunity to be successful. I'm very grateful to my father for having given me that shot and believing in me. I had 2 kids, little kids, that were running around, and I knew I had to make it work, period. Like, there was no other option. So whatever problem, came up, we just started to try to fix them. It was
Which is
whatever we
which
needed
is
to do.
awesome. But I have to think, so you've been that numbers guy, metrics for the practice for 20 years, but for those of us that I guess don't look at those very often, it's easier to keep track nowadays, I have to assume, right? So if we're not doing it in our practice, are there programs with AI and all of that something that could um, help us start doing that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're coming. They're not here just yet. There's a lot of potential and tools that are coming down the pipeline that I think that are going to make that process a lot easier. But call recording and stuff like that. There are many companies out there that do that. There are a variety of different electronic health record systems that make tracking things easier. When you first get involved, if you're going with Dental Writer or DS3, that's great. I think the we kind of had a plan from the beginning to grow and scale the business. So we wanted to go with something that was a little more robust. So we went with a full-blown electronic health record system,
It would
one with a lot of
grow
reporting.
with you. It was probably
Yeah.
more than you needed initially to probably,
Yeah.
excessively robust, but
It was it was an undertaking to really develop that out. But I think
sure.
the reason I started looking at metrics was really to take myself out of what I might emotionally think is the right decision, to put data in front of our doctors So they understood why, the management team was making certain decisions. And it really took me out of it and allowed them to be a participant in understanding what was working and what wasn't working and why we need to make a shift.
Objectively, because
Objectively,
you
yeah.
That's
can't run it on vibes, right? And
Right.
I
And
think
Yep.
people,
I think
if I ask 4 dentists what they all think, I'm probably gonna get 4 different answers.
sure.
So
Yeah,
it was more like taking their data, like, okay, here are the devices that we delivered. Here's what you delivered. Here's, the success rate of the appliances one provider, prescribed versus another. Putting all that up for like, and having it be very transparent so we could make informed decisions.
sure. So you're in that first phase of the funnel with getting the patient actually in the chair. And that second phase, the patient's there for a consult, and you notice a decline in patients that opt to move forward. What are some of the things that might cause that? And then that you're looking at, and then how have you addressed that in the past?
Well, again, I think a lot of that can be in net, like it could be money, right? It could be in network versus out of network. So it could be a cost issue. It could be concerns about side effects. It
Yeah,
could be um, that when we describe what dental sleep medicine really is, the patient, doesn't want to move forward with that commitment to therapy. Um, it it could be it could be a variety of
so
different.
with something like you mentioned earlier, with um, in network versus out of network. So if you see that, maybe that's a particular payer that this, happening with more often, I mean, do you then go in network with that payer? I mean, is that something you look at doing or you've looked at doing?
Yeah, I think that's a case by case basis. Over the years, it's unfortunately dental sleep medicine is reimbursed differently in every state. Even within the state, like one person's contract is not the same as another's. So
Sure.
everybody has to evaluate that individually to see if it makes sense. You have to look at your overall payer mix. So, like in Illinois, as an example, Blue Cross Blue Shield is a huge payer in Illinois. They might have, 60, 70% of the market. So, if the rate is really low with a payer that represents a huge, part of your payer mix, it's probably pretty straightforward to say, "Hey, I can't go and network with that. I'm not gonna be able to make that financially viable for the practice." So it's a case by case basis. And over the years, there were some things that didn't make sense, for us, and then sometimes things would change. We'd be able to negotiate a better deal and then go and network. With the and sometimes we were able to kinda just look at the business as a whole and say, "Hey, we'll take a hit maybe on Medicare, but we're winning over here with, Blue Cross or United," as an example. So it all kind of equals out at the end, and we want our referral sources to not really have to think about which, patient they can refer to us. We wanna be able to just take them all. Again, our mission was to have a real impact on patients who were untreated, undertreated. And so, we just looked at it as a whole.
That's the second time you've mentioned, kind of that vision or that mission to make an impact on patients' lives. Is that something that your dad came up with? Is that something you came up with? I mean, was that some sort of consultant that came in and helped you tease that out? Where did that come from? And how did you? Where did that come from? Number one, and secondly, how did you? How have you for 20 years continued to make that your guiding light?
Um, Listen, when I got treated, it really changed my life dramatically. I know sometimes this stuff sounds cliche, but it took my world from black and white and turned it into color. I was able to focus, concentrate, meet my goals, things that I was really struggling with prior to treatment. And I think, my father saw that change and wanted, and once you see sleep apnea, you can't sort of unsee it. So, um, we wanted to see patients who were suffering from untreated sleep apnea get treated. And the reality is, we started this 20 years ago when dental sleep medicine was not accepted by the medical community. It's very different today. Um, and we wanted oral appliance therapy to be a realistic, viable treatment option. And when oral appliance therapy costs patients $3,500, it may or it may not treat the patient. The patient never gets back to the referring physician for follow-up testing. Like, that's not a realistic treatment option for patients. There are very few dentists that do it. Of the dentists that do it, very few of them have a ton of experience. We just wanted dental sleep medicine to be a viable treatment strategy in the Chicagoland area. And it was, my mission, our practice's mission, my father's vision to make that a reality.
Mhm.
At whatever cost, we were going to go out there and we were going to make it work.
Mhm. You've done it.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of work to do. There's still a ton of work to do. I think it's just at the tip of the iceberg, literally. Dental sleep medicine is just becoming a viable treatment strategy. There's so many companies that are out there that are helping dentists to overcome the obstacles that we had to figure out on our own.
Mhm.
And I think that that's really, increasing the speed to which they get to a place like where we are. Um, and so that's encouraging, and the acceptance of dental sleep medicine is growing. The awareness of alternative treatment strategies is growing. More physicians are willing to have a conversation about all the different treatment strategies with patients up front. So that education piece is huge because patients don't think it's just CPAP. And I still think there's a ton of additional work to be done in that arena, but it's definitely improving.
And how much of the work are is your practice doing to facilitate that? I mean, are you going out and meeting with physicians still? Are you educating, your medical colleagues, or what does that look like today?
Yeah, it's still it's still, an uphill battle.
Yeah.
We're still having the conversations, where we're, you know, breaking down the myths that oral appliances are not effective, that they don't work for severe patients, that it's not covered by insurance, or if it is covered, it's still a significant out of pocket for patients. And the reality is, with most practices, oral appliances far less expensive than CPAP over time. They are effective. They can treat severe patients. Maybe it's not going to
Preach it.
yeah, maybe it's not the first strategy, but it's
Amen, brother.
certainly a strategy.
Sure.
Um, and I think it requires physicians to be open-minded about the reality that patients aren't necessarily going to wear CPAP. Patients may discontinue that therapy, and they need to be open to other strategies. But I think it's hard for a physician to really prescribe something that they don't have a personal experience with, where they don't really understand the therapy. Like, they need to see the devices, they need to handle the devices, they need to really understand the patient journey, that pathway into your practice, from the entry point to the practice all the way to the exit, and how they get back to the physician. And they really need to have trust and confidence that the patient's going to have a positive experience all the way through. Otherwise, that reflects negatively on them. So,
Yeah. So your
When I
practice, though, real quick, Aaron, I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Your practice is living proof that that can be done and that can be done at scale. But to the dentists that are hearing this, that are, I've sort of heard this chorus over the years where it's something like, I go to, these physicians' offices and they basically say that, they cite that litany of reasons that oral appliance therapy is no go. Um, what would you say to those dentists to overcome those objections, to address those issues, and potentially make that non-believer at least open to oral appliance therapy?
um, again, I think you have to be able to have an honest conversation with those referral sources and understand what their objections are. And then knock down each one of those objections as they come along. If it's a cost concern, it's about, getting in network and, limiting that patient's out of pocket. If it's a concern about quality, understanding what that is and ensuring that you're addressing that. Like over the years, we have refined, which devices we're using based on the type of problems and misfits and so forth that come with oral appliance therapy. Understanding that, everything from the type of impression, the type of impression is crucial. Understanding that evaluation, that in-person evaluation by the treating dentist is crucial to understand what areas to engage, what areas not to engage with respect to the oral appliance. Like all of these things affect the overall outcome of the patient. And I'm not just referring to the efficacy of the therapy itself, but the overall outcome that will lead to, a comfortable treatment option for patients, because we know if they don't wear them, they don't wear their therapy, it doesn't treat them, period. So they have to be engaged in the process. They have to be a participant in choosing the treatment style that they want, et cetera. So again, just overcoming all these different obstacles or roadblocks that the referring physician or concerns that the referring physician may have is crucial to unlocking more and more referrals. So we would just listen to what the issues were and then try to solve for that.
For the dentist that is frustrated with the referring community, what I would say is if if there's a physician that's not open to it, then find one that is, just move on. And I found like the functional medicine, um, that kind of crew is very open and to listening to concerns and as a referral source. If a patient has a good comes back, is all excited, I do coach them. I said, make sure you tell your provider. He's one that I haven't been able to convince or get in front of. Make sure you report back. So I think that has opened up as well. And then as well as sending letters, there's a lot of physicians I haven't even met that refer because of previous patients that I've worked with them on.
Turn the patient into an advocate for oral
Mhm.
appliance therapy. Got it. Got it. Well, Scott, what you've built at Midwest Dental Sleep is truly admirable. It's bonkers. It's a behemoth, and you are making an impact on patients' lives, on your community, and as a result, on the world. So, kudos. But that does not get you away from the final countdown. All right. So, Scott, we've got the final countdown until this episode. It's 20 seconds to answer these questions. You've got to get through them all. No verbosity. Okay. Concision is key. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. If money didn't matter, what job would you do?
Yeah. I drive a boat.
All right. Have you ever been fired from a job?
Yes.
Okay, come on. Give me a little more than that.
I slept in.
All right. What's the worst movie of all time?
Oh, I don't have an answer for you.
The answer is Five Nights at Freddy's 2. It's awful. Okay. And then you're entering the ring to do battle. What's your theme song?
You just played it.
Well played. Scott Craig, thank you for everything that you do for dental sleep medicine. I have learned so much from you over the years. I hope that listeners have today. I'm certain they have. And Thank you for all your contributions.
Same to you and Erin.
Thanks,
Really
Scott.
appreciate what you guys do.
All right.
Sleep matters.